Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Q&A. Shortly, we should have a message down in the prompt giving you instructions as to how to raise your hand, but I'll go ahead and explain it. So if you want to raise your hand to ask a question that you may have, go ahead and hit the react or reacts button at the bottom of your screen and then hit the raise hand button.
And while we're waiting for someone to ask the first question, I just want to remind everybody that all of these videos, Q&As are recorded every week and put on our YouTube within a couple days of being recorded. So make sure you just search Smart Systems in YouTube and you can watch all of these back if you've missed any.
First question, we got Steve.
And I'll go first today. I'll be the glutton for punishment.
Awesome.
We recently started taking in shoe repairs, and I know I talked to several of you guys on the tech side about how to handle that. What we're doing seems to be working fairly well, but I was just kind of curious how everybody else was kind of approaching that if you're doing shoe repair, trying to do it through Smart.
Yeah. Do you want to, I mean, if it's quick, do you have a quick little way that you're doing it right now that you want to explain how you're doing it?
What we're doing it right through the alterations screen or through the annotations. It seems to be working out pretty good. We're not getting into a lot of detail. We put a description in the annotation itself, and then once we close the order, we print out an info ticket, and we're sending that along with the shoes, and then pricing everything when it comes back. And it seems to be working pretty well. And the good thing, I mean, here in Florida, we're we tax that as well as alterations, so it works for the sales tax and all that too. So, it's not everything says alterations, but we know what it is, so it seems to be working pretty smoothly. But we don't get into too much detail as far as the different types. We just put a written description in the annotation itself, and it seems to be working okay, but always looking for a way to possibly improve it a little bit.
And Steve, Kathy Benzinger just asked in the comments, do you barcode the shoes individually or do you guys act as a pair?
Each pair.
Is so it one tag per pair of shoes?
Yes, typically. Of course, we do have a separate category for a pair of shoes in the item description itself, or also a single item. We have for example, boots, or if it's a leather item or a piece of luggage, that type of thing. But we don't get into a lot of detail, but we do differentiate between a pair and a single item. So, but it seems to be working out fairly well. We tossed it around quite a bit. We were trying to get it set up, but
yeah. I mean, if you care about my point of view at all, I believe the way you're doing it is absolutely perfect. If you haven't already, maybe you could have a KPI so you can view a report to see what is currently at or in shoe repair. So like what's out, especially if you're outsourcing it. But other than that, I think that's perfect.
Well, basically that's what we're doing because we know if it hasn't come back, it's right now.
Not ready.
Yeah, exactly right.
Do you send them out like far, like through the mail?
No, we've got a local. It actually worked out kind of good. They're doing shoe repair and they wanted to start doing wholesale dry cleaning, so it kind of worked out good for both of us. So
there you go.
Scratching each other's backs.
Nice. If anyone else has any input on if you do shoe repair or any advice for Steve, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat for him as well. Is there anyone that ships shoes actually? Like you actually don't have anyone local and you need to ship those out? I know it's happening a lot more lately, especially with leather. Raise your hand too. Seems some people are interested about that.
Okay, and so currently for today's theme, we don't really have one. It's kind of open mic. So if you have any questions whatsoever, even if it's things that we've previously gone over and you're still a little confused, we'll definitely go over it and maybe show you if you need some, visual interpretation or however. All right, looks like we got Bill.
Hey guys, I was wondering if there would any possibility of if you delete a drop ticket to maybe allow us to enter a reason why it was being deleted, just so in the like in the future, if they ever have a question about something, like say they decide they changed their mind of dropping off anything or they wanted to take back their clothes we can delete the drop ticket and it shows deleted, but there's no real like reason why it was deleted. So I think that would be a good feature if we could possibly put something in for a reason for deleting a drop ticket.
Yeah, I believe this has come up a couple times within the last couple months. And we're looking at doing it and finding a way the right way to do it. Would you rather it just be a prompt that just lets you know, just like how you disable a customer? Or are you thinking in a different method for it? Give me a second, Bill.
Sorry about that. I hit the mute button and I
All
figured
good.
I didn't want to hear any more side noise. Yeah, just like a little prompt with like, hey, customer took back clothes, or there was no job, or clerk error, something, you know what I mean? So we could type up just for the future, because you never know when, hey, I dropped this off, I came here, uh, you know, January 1st or whatever. Um, and we'll look back in the history. Yeah, they came here and there was something deleted, but we don't know why. So I think like a little, just maybe 50 character, whatever, size that you can type in, or like even have one pre-selected, no job, but also a custom one would be really nice.
Okay, yeah, we definitely got that noted down, and we'll see what that comes to be. All right. I think we've got Brian next.
Hey, Tyler. Just a quick question. We do assisted assembly here, and right now we just have kind of just the locations hanging on a slick rail. Is there, I guess, curiosity is there any way to what's the logic used to say, hey, this order goes on, this new order goes on this rack location? Right? And the reason I'm asking is, right now we start 1 to 60, and 60 is far away. There's a lot of times I'm passing open rack locations, walking past open rack locations to go all the way down to 60. So I was just wondering if there's any way that we can say, hey, whatever is closest, whatever the lowest number is the first one that we hang on. Does that make sense? Are you following me there?
Hey Brian, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Chris.
Nice. So there's two things we could check, right? So the first thing is there's a setting in Smart that starts with even numbers first. So what could also be happening is that it's looking for even numbers and then it's taking the larger numbers just because all the odd ones are the lower ones. So we can turn that off, which would then prompt the system to start using the odd numbers as well as the even numbers, and we'll probably keep you at that lower end. Um, and then the other thing is you can also reset the location, right? So if you scan the barcode or the location for the assembly slide or the assembly number, and then scan the order, it will prompt it to put it in that space and start from that number.
Got it. So if I scan the barcode for AR1 is what ours are called, it would then perfect. Okay. No, I think
Exactly.
that's probably the better solution for us. So okay, thank you.
All right, and I think we had a couple questions with Erica in the chat. Oh, okay, got it. All right, looks like we've got Eldon.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, how are
Thank you
you
for
doing?
taking the very good, very good. Thank you for taking the question. Quick question. We are trying to track laundry folder per hour. Um, so we have 4 stations. where people are folding laundry. How can we do that? Like right now, it's very manual. It's like it's so manual that I cannot even bother checking it. They just write it down on a notebook. Each person has their own notebook. They write down the order number, the weight, and the time. But I can't go add that up every day manually. Like that would be insane. So I'm trying to figure it out, is it an automated way? I asked support and they create a report, but they create a report of created by. Created by doesn't mean anything because that's just the person that is making the bag, not the person that is folding the bag.
Hey, Alan, it's Chris. So
Hey, Chris.
what you could probably do in this scenario is create racking locations for whoever's doing the folding, right? They scan their packaging to that rack location and then run a report for those rack locations by that rack location, and it should give you a good number.
But will that report automatically add the weight and give me a weight per hour rack, or this is all manual in the background? Like we just with wash and fold, given how big it is for
So
our industry.
yeah, so for the KPIs, I mean, we can get the data points. So far as putting it in one report and or making a pivot table, that's just something we'll have to try to see what we can do through support.
Okay, so essentially what I have to do is, so does each person needs a station? Like, how do we go about it?
No, so it's just like racking, right? So they just whatever station they're already using, they just rack the order to that specific barcode first before they finalize it and rack it to a different location.
Got it. So technically, each person becomes a racking
Exactly.
position or a racking slot, whatever we want to call it.
Exactly. Yep.
Got it. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, looks like we got Zachary.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
We're doing good.
I have a follow-up question on that last idea that Chris was saying, to create a KPI using like the racking location. Would the orders still have to be racked to that location in order for the KPI to be like to give you an accurate, because if you rack it to someplace and then you rack it to another location, I mean, I only seen KPIs built around like last racked location. So assume I'm going to learn something new right now. So go ahead.
Hey, Zach, can you hear me there?
Yep. Hey, Mike.
So, what you're referring to at the last rack location, that's an attribute and a filter that we use sometimes in items KPIs. I think for this solution, a rack log is more appropriate. And one of the reasons is that a rack log records all the entries and the data you see isn't dependent, unless you configure it this way. It's not dependent on whether the location in question was the last place that the item or bag was racked, but rather whether it was there at all, ever. The items filter is only looking at the last location. So once that item moves, it no longer has that same location for its last location. It's a new location now. So you won't be able to track it from that, but we could do it with a rack log.
That makes sense. I forgot about that KPI. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
It looks like someone else too, a couple minutes ago, actually said in the chat that they're tracking that the same exact way with the racking location. So wonderful.
Hey, Margie.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Doing well.
Since we're talking about reporting and things, I had sent in a question earlier or yesterday for the session. I don't know if you have it or not, about reports for year-end customer or customers that want year-end reports for what they're doing during the year for tax purposes. Is there a way to do that with the reporting function?
Yeah, so not necessarily reporting specific, but you can generally send them an open invoice for the whole year that for all created orders, whether they're done, paid for, whatever, you can send that to them. And that is generally how everybody should go about that, I would say.
Okay, if they're not set up on invoicing, so I would have to set them up on invoice first and then, because right now, we're not doing any invoicing. These are just, daily customers that come in, once, twice a week or whatever. But would I have to set them up on invoice first and then be able to generate that?
No, you wouldn't have to do that. Most of the time, the open invoices is kind of a per person thing. You would manually go in and just select it because you're specifically wanting to capture the whole year that they did or that they
Okay.
brought in. So it would just be based on request. Just go into their
Okay.
account, hit open invoices under the payment tab, and select the date range that they're looking for.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, not a problem.
If I may, I'd just like to add a little something to that. It's important to understand the difference between an invoice and a statement, because I know some end customers actually what they're looking for is the information that you'll find on a statement. And that is the case when what they want to see are not only their sales, but also their payments to you. Invoices do not list payments, statements do. However, when you generate a statement, it affects the way their balance ages over time if they're not a statement account. So my recommendation, if they do want to see the payments as well, is, and you do not have to change their payment setting, as Tyler was saying, you can leave them on auto pay or POS or whatever they're set on. And you can go to their account on the payments tab, generate either the invoice or the statement. But if it's a statement, what you want to do, I suggest, is you generate it, send it to them, and then void it. Voiding it will allow their balances to continue aging the way they normally would based on their payment setting, so you don't mess anything up that way. But they'll still have the information from the statement.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks. Got another question.
Awesome.
In regards to the open invoices, is there a way for me to generate an open invoice that allows me to print the extra detail? Or is that feature only accessible by emailing or texting like the customer directly? Does that make sense? Like when I can create that open invoice, like there's that, or when I'm emailing it to the customer, there's a checkbox that says add extra details.
Yeah. Hey, Zach. So the answer is that the various format settings that add those different sections to statements or invoices, they apply to any of those. I call the group of those different documents. I refer to them as billing documents. So an open invoice, a regular invoice, or a statement. All those settings, whether it's include order summary, include item summary, all that stuff applies to all of them. And you can turn those settings on to generate the document and then turn them back off if you don't want them turned on for the account most of the time, but you do for like a one-off statement that you want to send them.
No, thank you. I don't think I explained it properly though. Like
Oh, okay.
when
No,
I'm
please.
sending an invoice or a statement or an open invoice to a customer and I'm emailing them, like right on the email screen, there's a checkbox that says add extra information, or I'm not saying it right, but it like essentially gives like
Yeah, I know
the
what you mean.
individual item detail. Is there
Uh,
a way? I'm sorry,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, please. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Is there a way for me to generate that report with the extra details without emailing it to them? Like I'd like to pull it down myself and review their statement in entirety with the extra details attached before I send it to them.
You know, to be frank, off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure about that. Let me see if anybody else in the room happens to remember. Yeah, just get in here, Chris.
Yeah, so basically that checkbox that sends out that extra information on those invoices is the same thing if you check those boxes on the account. So it's the same way. So if you turn those settings on, generate the invoice, it'll generate them. that setting, generally, I think you see that on like invoice and statement. You don't see it on open invoice just because it's a manual entry, but those extra information fields will still show as long as you use those settings when you create the invoice.
So I can go to the settings of the account and have them, and that would be applicable to every invoice that I generate then.
Exactly.
I wouldn't, okay. I didn't know that. Cool. Thank you.
Also, Zach, I work here and I learn things every day, so don't feel too bad.
Hi. So I
Samantha.
have a few, hi, how are you, Tyler? I have a few questions. My first one is under the when it comes to like printing out the invoices, is there a way to print an accumulated total without processing like a card payment or cash payment? If, for example, the customer wants the full total without giving them individual invoices. Because right now you have a large order, you have multiple different tickets that we have to print out, but sometimes they ask for just one. Is there a way to do that? I know normally when we run the card, you get one long receipt that gives you the total, but is there a way to do that without actually processing the payment?
Yeah, so technically we do have a way to do it. There's a couple of other options as well. So you could hit the pay estimate button before you close the order, because I know you guys are splitting the order at order close, and which is probably causing that issue for you. But I also believe, and I can double check this for you, that there's a way to get that financial statement to print out as well without when you close the order as well.
Because without me closing the order, you don't see the print with the total. It says free. So once you close the order, that's when you see the total. If you try to print anything, it gives you like the bag tag ticket instead of an invoice without the order being closed. But once you close the order, you are able to print the total that's on that ticket. So
So
that's
yeah,
why. Mhm.
it sounds like something is either off or we're not seeing it right away. So the easiest thing to probably do is we can quickly probably show you if you want to put a ticket in and just give us a call. I can probably just walk you through it and see what's going on.
Okay, that sounds good. And then my other question was that I know there's a KPI for it, but this week this happened to me that there was a piece that was deleted. We're trying to find it, but when I went to the KPI that shows me like items that was deleted, I put the specific date. That item did not pop up. It took me a long while to figure it out, but then I could not remember how I got there. So I'm trying to figure if there's a way that you can view it without the KPI, because the KPI was not giving me any information and the piece was there because I deleted it, but I had to go find it.
Yeah, so we could take a look at the KPI to see if it's updated properly, but also if you have an order that it was deleted from, if you check the history of the order, it tells you what item was deleted.
How do I do that? You check the history of the order?
Yeah, so if you search for an order number, um, if you click the order bar, there should be a history button. And in that history button, it tells you the history of all the items. And if any item was deleted, you'll see it grayed out towards the bottom with a deleted note.
But I mean, not having the order number or the barcode number. You don't have the information, but now you need to find the piece or the item.
Got
That's
it.
what I'm referring to.
So you can also, I believe, if you click the magnifying glass in the search bar, it
Mm-hmm.
acts, it gives you an option to search for status. And that status, if you select deleted, you should be able to search for any deleted items in whatever time frame you select as well. So in the search bar at the very top, if you click
Mm-hmm.
that magnifying glass, it's going to actually give you an option to search for items. And then in that item search, it's going to give you a status that you can search by, and deleted is one of those statuses. You can also do a search that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Next we have Elton.
Hey guys, sorry, one more question. A few weeks ago, I was on a call here, and I asked that a customer wants to get their um, sort of report, either a statement or open notice, and they want a copy of each of the receipt that we gave them as they were picking those up or as we deliver them. Someone said that it was possible on the call, but we haven't been able to get that going, or at least not through
Yeah,
any simple way.
yeah. So for the include the invoices on the statements, if you is a setting. So if you haven't, if it's not turned on, then it probably didn't work. But if you do want to get a walkthrough of it, just put in a ticket out and then we'll have someone to walk it through.
So just to double check, is it that one setting that says include separate invoices for each order?
I want to say no.
Because that setting doesn't give you A, B, C, and D. It will show you an invoice with 7 pieces, but we don't have such thing.
Also, your question last week, was it to get each ticket broken down by bag and not order number?
No, it wasn't me last week. It might have been somebody else. It was a few weeks ago where the question is,
Because like what's from what you just said, right? It's basically if you have an order that ends in 01 and you have
mhm,
bags A through D, on the statement, you want a breakdown of bag A, bag B, bag C versus just order number with all the pieces.
if possible, I think they want the exact same copies that they got so that they can potentially check what they got versus what I'm
Got it.
charging them.
And yeah, I think they misunderstood the question last week. We can't do that.
Okay, so that requires manual PDF
Yes,
exporting and consolidating, which is what I've been doing for years.
that's
Well,
correct.
it feels like it takes a year every time I gotta do that. All right, no problem. Thank you.
Hey guys, another question. When splitting and closing an order on that ticket, there is no total piece count warning. You know, and it says like when if you have detailed item like a drop ticket with like 14 pieces, and then you split the order because you're either like putting, say, sweaters on one ticket and suits on another or whatnot. Once you split that order, that warning of like if you have one below the piece count, it goes away, right? Is that because I don't seem to see that at all when that happens, like the
Yeah,
warning.
you might be right, Bill. So I think with the way the logic is set up, it doesn't prompt that response, but we can definitely put in like a maintenance request to take a look at the logic to see if we can get that to happen.
That would be really great because otherwise the CSRs have to go through, especially if it's in a large order, and you have to go like, okay, so let me pan up, pan down, count the pieces, by just actually looking at the pieces instead of just having hey, this ticket short one item.
Perfect for bringing that to our attention because I actually didn't realize it until just now. So thank you for that. But yeah, we'll have a
No,
maintenance request put in and see if we can get something looked into.
appreciate that. Thank you.
I'd like to just jump in real quick because someone asked a question in the chat that I just wanted to call attention to so everybody can hear the answer. Julie asked, when an order is detailed and the detailer doesn't close the order, is there an easy way to find the orders that are left open? The problem is when you try to assemble the order, it shows up as undetailed. And my answer, which I did put in the chat, I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to hear it, is there's actually a default KPI called all:(undetailed orders. It's in the all agents overview tag. You probably have it in your system unless someone has removed it because it comes with all smart installations. And it lists all orders which have not been closed after detailing, which is what gives them the undetailed status. So that's exactly how you can find those. Everybody should have that report already.
All right, awesome. Looks like next we have River.
Yeah, I was just wondering how you print a copy of a drop ticket after the order has been detailed and closed.
That is not possible.
Okay.
Yep. That's only at the beginning of the order whenever you hit that create order button.
Where you don't have the option to print out an actual ticket until it's gone through bagging. Is there a way to change the settings so that you could print a copy of that ticket after it's detailed and closed? I can't hear you if you're talking to me.
Sorry. And you're talking about the assembly ticket, right? The ticket with the barcode on it?
The regular ticket that would go on the order out the door. So like in our system, we go through the metal projeting. It puts the sticker on the ticket. And then when it gets back to the stores, they reprint tickets. You can't reprint a ticket until the items have all been assembled. And then you actually get the option to be able to print the ticket. Is there a way to make it so that you could print a ticket prior to the order being assembled? Does that
Hey,
make sense?
Tony. This is Gina. Yeah, it does make sense. I have one other customer that I think has to do this for very weird, convoluted reasons of their own. But my
We
first
just
question
have
would,
crazy ass customers. Some of them want
okay,
their little list with you.
I was gonna say because my
old ladies,
first question is why do you need that so bad? So okay, that's fine.
900-year-old ladies.
Okay. The only option that you have is to print what's called an estimate before actually closing the order. So this would, your CSRs would have to actually click the estimate button. What that does is it prints you what looks like an invoice. There's no barcode, it's just a receipt for the customer, and then they can close the order.
Okay.
And that's
So
if
that has to
you're
be before they close
splitting.
the order.
I just realized though, if you're not splitting at the counter, you can do it after you close an order. But before we were talking about people that were splitting orders, so I got caught up on that. So you can do it after. If it gets split up into like 4 different orders though, and you've already
Right.
closed it, you would have to print 4 different receipts. So it just depends what you want to do. If you
So you
click it
click on the
before you
estimate.
close, it'll give
Okay.
you everything.
Okay, so if you click it before you close, it'll just give a
Full long big receipt if they got
whole
40
big.
items or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I had asked this question, I believe on a call, and I haven't heard anything. So in the permissions of what everybody is able to see, the stores cannot see their own sales because you have to be either, I forget at what level you have to be. It's kind of an all or nothing thing because sales are under financials. So you either have to be at bookkeeper administration level before you can see that. Is there a way so that each store, they don't even have to be able to, and I don't care if they can see everybody else's sales. It kind of gets some competition going between the stores. But right now, the only way they can know what their sales are is if they call me or call somebody here at the office to look them up and see where they're at.
Yeah, so basically you can replicate revenue and sales in a KPI and assign it to those stores, and then they can actually see those reports. So we can recreate the report. It just won't have the same aesthetic as the financial report, but it get the same number.
Yeah, I just need a number. I don't need it to look.
Yeah, so we can do
Just
that.
that way they can kind of look it up and see where they're at. And it would actually, I don't know if it's easier or harder. I would actually be fine with them being able to see everybody's.
That's the easy fix.
Yeah, because then they can look it up and say, oh, we're behind. We need to get, we need to get our butts moving, start calling some of these customers that have clothes on the lines. It kind of just gives them motivation.
Yeah, we used to do this all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, just put in a ticket for support, and then ask them to generate a revenue report by store for their CSRs, and then we'll get those reports figured out for you.
Okay.
All right, so we've got Bill.
Yeah, I was just wondering, with permission, under permissions, is it possible to make it allowable for lower level CSRs to be able to associate customers' accounts? Because if sometimes the wife or the husband comes in and they're detailing, and you have to have like a certain level, I believe, to associate
Yeah, so
the accounts.
yeah, that link on split is definitely an admin setting. So at this time, it won't be, there's nothing to actually change that in the system that's going to help the CSRs do that. However, what I can tell you is that we have been looking at getting it moved to the profile screen versus the
Yeah,
admin screen.
that would be
So,
so much easier, because instead of them calling me over to go and associate two, a husband and wife or roommates or partners, it can be a pain in the ass because I gotta get pulled away from something to go do that. Where
yeah, most
if they had,
definitely. Yeah, I think moving it to the profile would probably fix that problem. So you can do a follow-up like right before this Thursday, and I'll make sure I bring it up with my next meeting with the development
so
team.
you want me to create a
Just sit
ticket,
in a
or
ticket. Yep.
okay? Did I put attention, Chris?
Yes, that's totally fine.
Okay.
All right, just a reminder for anyone that wants to ask a question, on the bottom of your screen, there should be a react or reactions button. You can click on that and raise your hand. In the meantime, though, I just wanted to let you guys know that our logistics team just came out with a new sale for the month of March. So they're doing 10% off woven media and ribbon. So that's for people that use like the zebra temp tags or any woven media. And then also we're doing 15% off badge reels, the employee, not badge reels, the employee badges with the badge reels attached to them. We do require a minimum of 20 for those. And they come with badge reels. So instead of like punching in your PIN every time you sign in, you just scan employee badge. So they're doing 15% off those as well. And if you want to order too, you can always email heatseals@smartsystems.com.
Now the 20 badges, do they have to be record assigned?
Like labeled. No.
Yeah. So you can
Nope.
have them blank and then assign them to a new
Yeah.
CSR.
Yeah, just
Okay.
request it that way when you put it in.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Margie.
Hey, again, I'm just curious. I'm a small dry cleaners. We only have one location. It seems like a lot of the ones that we're talking to have multiple stores and things, and I'm just interested in how everybody uses the drop ticket, because that's something we print and throw away right now. We're not really utilizing it because generally we check in each bag as it comes in, each order as it comes in. And I was just kind of interested how some people use that drop ticket.
Hey, Margie. I'm a former fourth generation dry cleaner, so I probably have a little bit of input here, but purely they are just for tracking purposes. Every cleaner does something a little bit different. So, for example, at my dry cleaners, when someone would drop off, all we did was simply give you a drop ticket, a due date, and we sent you out the door. We did not detail your items in front of you. We did not give you a fully detailed printout when we were done detailing, etc. So that all depends on you. So if you're, actually fully detailing an order and giving them like a full invoice, there's no need for a drop ticket because that really is their drop ticket. So it's just purely for tracking. That's all.
Okay, yeah, they fuss at me. They're like, "It's such a waste of paper," and I'm like, it's not that big. It's not that
We
big
can
deal."
absolutely turn it off, and you
Oh,
have an
okay,
option on how many you want to print as well. So definitely put in a ticket if it's wasting paper and you don't want those.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
initially we were told that there was no solution, there was no option. You had to print regardless, and we get two
You know
copies
what?
of it and all that.
That almost might not be a lie, Margie, because we did have to add a setting for something very, very specific. So that might not be a lie, but now we just added it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll set that option up, and I appreciate it.
All right, then we got Erica.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, I actually have two questions real quick. Right now they were crossing on my mind and I forgot about it. The racking. Okay, for let's say that I want to know what was racked yesterday. Is there a report that I can run? I tried to run the KPI report, but I couldn't figure it out exactly how to pull it up. That is the first question. The second question, is there a report that I can run that it will tell me the orders that the customers drop off? The reason why is sometimes, I don't know if it happens to another cleaners, but there is times where we have one item left behind and my front counters, they don't remember who it belongs to. And I have to be looking every single ticket and see what it match with the item. So I think it will be easier if I get like a report where it's the time and the customer name when they drop it off.
Okay, so the first one, you're just looking for a basic rack log of all your racks or of a specific rack?
All my racks.
Okay, yeah, we could definitely do that. We could put in you may already have it, but a basic what was racked today report. Anybody from support can do that if you put in a ticket for that. As for your second one, it would be anything that was detailed today. Same thing. As for the missing item, that might be a little bit difficult, unless if you heat seal, then it would be easier. But yeah, it would just be anything that was detailed or new orders today reports. Both of those reports are pretty easy.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Hey, Tony.
Hey, so I had a question about on our other system, anytime an employee went to go write a ticket, they'd have to enter their number. And at least the way it's set up now, you can go in and write up a ticket, and if somebody else is logged in and they haven't logged out and the system hasn't logged them out after a timeout period, then that ticket is written under the original person's name.
Right. Yep. Are you looking to change something, or you're kind of just
Yeah, I
asking?
want it to be so that if you go to write a ticket, and no matter what, if you go to write a ticket, you have to put your number in and it's written under your name, no matter who's logged in at the computer. Because if we'll have 5 people working up front, and if somebody comes up and doesn't see that I was logged in on which I'm good about logging out anyway. But if, let's say one of our other employees was logged in on that computer and they go to write the ticket up, and then I go to ask a question about, who talked to the lady about it, something's wrong, I'm talking to the wrong person. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, definitely. The first thing that I would say is I don't think we're looking at doing anything like that where you have to put in a pin every single time that you do something. I don't think a lot of people like that feature. And I don't think that that's something that we're looking to do. But what I would say for those instances that you're saying who did what, I would recommend looking at the full order history of what you're doing in those items specifically to see who did what step, because each item could be done by a different person if that's the instance that you're looking at.
So even if somebody else is logged in and another person comes in and writes up a ticket, it's under.
It would be under the person who is logged in.
That's what I mean. So that doesn't really
I think one of
help.
the only other options is probably lowering your station timeout so that when people walk away and they're forgetting to log out, it actually automatically logs out a lot faster. That might be something you want to look into, but as far as what Tyler said is absolutely true. We're not looking to add something where you have to put in your PIN every single time. You know, Smart is going to spit out what you put in. So if, you know, Sue Smith stays signed in, that's who's doing all the work according to Smart, you know. The computer's not going to know any different unless we tell it something different, like logging someone else in. Yeah.
See, Bill asked a question in the chat. He asked, what is the shortest timeout? So I believe it's 2 minutes. I don't think that it'll allow you to put it to a full 60 seconds. It's a little bit too short. Hey, Margie.
Hey, in speaking of that, timeout and logging in and all of that, we've noticed, and I don't know if it's something that we're doing wrong or if it's a system, part of the system program. When we have a person who has opened the cash drawer and logged in for that day and is basically that person is we only have one computer, so it's not too hard to, you know, for somebody to come behind them and do something. But that person is the person who opened the computer, opened the cash drawer, and is basically the one that's using that computer for the day. That someone comes in behind them and logs them out and logs themselves in, but they're not the person who's closing the drawer. If they put an order in, when the person who closes the drawer at the end of the day, that order will not show up on our reports and like on our Z report and everything. We've noticed that a couple of times. Like that person just logs in, logs back out for that one order, but they're not the person who opened the cash drawer or anything. Is there a way to get that to show up?
Hey, Margie, it's Gina. I'm not really sure what you're referring to. Hold on one second.
Yeah, when it doesn't, so if as long as the cash box is open, it shouldn't matter who logs into the computer, all your orders should still show. The Z report is station based and not account specific. So as long as the cash box was open and not closed, then it should work fine. So if you do have any examples of like something not showing up on that Z report, send them over and I'll take a look at it for you and see what's going on.
Okay, that'll be great. Yeah, it doesn't happen often, but because we only have that one computer, occasionally somebody will come in and log in and log back out just for one order or something. And we've seen it a couple of times, but next time it happens, I'll make sure I send it through and
Perfect.
refer to the reports that it's not showing up on. Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I think for the last 5 minutes or so, we're going to go ahead and post our feedback survey, and then you can take the time and fill that out if you'd like, and let us know what you'd like us to change or do differently. Thanks, guys.